Hello, I am on my page doing a Facebook Live from my dining room. Please excuse the massive amount of mess behind me. You see, it's that real. But the reason I wanted to come and do this Facebook Live with my cup of tea is that, number one, it's my daughter's birthday today, so hence the mess and the stuff around. We've had so much going on, and I made a massive cake as well. So she's not far from coming back from school. So it might be that I'm talking to myself, etc., or you might be watching, but here's the deal. What I want to talk to you about, I've been talking to the Academy members on our online singing academy today about quantum physics and time and about how that relates to practice, so it relates to singing, and I wanted to do the same and share with you exactly the same thing. So if you're not in the inner circle, in the academy, then please do look at the link and do the free assessment when it comes through, so I can see somebody watching. So give me a thumbs up or a hi, or tell me who you are, who's watching, because it's not coming up on there right now. But what I want to talk to you about, particularly at this time of the month, magicking time. So how do you magic time? How do you learn? One of the biggest things that people say to me is that they don't have enough time to sing, they don't have enough time to practice, there's not enough time to decide if they want lessons, that followed by there isn't enough money to do it. And yet we always find time for something, really. So a big wave to I'm seeing a couple of people that are kind of dropping in and dropping out, as it were, and watching. So how do we magic time? How do we actually create more time for some of the things that we like? And I'm going to show you a little model here. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper because it's just come into my thinking at the same time, so you know what I'm doing. I never thought about this before, I haven't had it planned. So here we go. There's a couple of things about magicking time that I want to show you. So we're going to look at 4 quadrants, and if you're sitting down and you can actually have a piece of paper, then join me, grab a piece of paper, and we're going to look at how to magic time. Because, as you know, coming up to Christmas, coming up to everything else, if you're not thinking about what you actually want to fit into the time, you and I both know, have you ever said that phrase, life just gets in the way? Well, you are life. It's you are living your life, so you're getting in your own way, and me too. So what is it that we can do that actually gives us a sense of accomplishment and achievement? Because you know, isn't it, if you've done some practice, if you warmed up, or if you've gone and taken a challenge to sing, or even if you're a public speaker and you've gone and said yes to something and you're doing it, and you're doing something with voice, let's put it that way, singing, speaking, etc., you feel so amazing afterwards. You know, not only that, but the science is out that that 40% of our happy hormones come from singing. Get that? 40% of the happy hormones come from singing. So when you are actually using your voice for singing, for communication, you really are expressing yourself in quite a powerful way. So magicking time. So the first thing I want you to do with your piece of paper, I want you to put on top urgent/important, right? Urgent and important. So the things that are urgent and important, what has to be done today? Like, seriously, it has to be done today, okay? It could be that, you know, what becomes urgent and important is that, you know, you have to catch the bus at a certain time to come home from work, or etc. So that isn't, it's potentially, you know, if it's about 5 minutes to the bus, that might be definitely urgent important. So what is urgent and important? Have a little think of what's going on in your life at the moment that's urgent and important. Okay. Also, we're going to put another column in there. What's urgent, what's important, not urgent. Okay. I'm going to show you which categories of things fall into this. So I want you to put there urgent, not important on the other side. Then down below, we're going to put urgent, not important, slash underneath there. So you've got urgent, important, urgent, not important, important, urgent, and then here you can guess it already, which is not urgent, not important. Now, So for some people, you know, it might be that if you look at that, let's go here, urgent, important. Hello, Peter. Is it a happy, I can't remember, was it a happy birthday yesterday or today for you? I can't remember. I knew there was a happy birthday. So whatever it was, super happy birthday to you. So we're talking about Magicking Time and how to create, and I've got something around that afterwards. So very quickly, this is a model by a business person called Stephen Covey, and he called this first things first, which is basically, he saw that most of the time management models that we think about either in business or life, you know, the big long to-do list or the list on the phone, in the notes in the phone, or even if you're more organized, you know, all the things you have to get done, you haven't categorized them as whether they are urgent, important, urgent, not important, important, not urgent, and not urgent and not important. So you have to look and go, what exactly would fall into some of these categories? So urgent, important, okay? Urgent and important is, you know, I've got a pan of boiling pasta, and if I don't suddenly, it suddenly got down to the last little bit of water, and if I don't suddenly in that moment act and put more water in, it's going to be a disaster. Okay, so that is urgent, important. Another thing, if you're talking singing or speaking or anything to do with voice that might be urgent, important, it might be you're about to go on stage and your guitar string has broken, just popped when you're tuning up. That could be an urgent, important moment. So to not have spare string in or a spare guitar is going to really impact you. So urgent, important on the singing could be you're about to, you know, you've been offered a gig to sing, or you want to think about, you know, I don't know, let's say you're about to have a choir performance or something and you've forgotten your music and you don't know words. So that will feel urgent and important in the moment. Now they're happening all the time. Now, if you look at the urgent, important, look at the examples I've given you, and you will suddenly discover that a couple of them, or probably all of them, could probably be negated off the urgent, important list because they can be planned for, potentially. You can't stop the guitar string from popping, but it would be really urgent and important if you didn't have a spare string, or if you didn't have your music with you and you're about to go on stage and you didn't know what the heck you were doing. So there's some things like you can't stop the thing potentially happening that is unrelated to you, but there's sometimes we can make sure that there's things behind the outside that we're actually ready for, okay? And that means that we can take advantage of the opportunities because there's a readiness in that, you know, so that the real things that are left on that list are truly urgent and important. Like, for instance, you know, somebody suddenly, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, John Barrowman slips down he slips down the thing and suddenly it becomes urgent and important to get him up, you know. So you can't plan for everything. But if you've experienced some things that were urgent and important, you can redefine how much time you end up spending on the urgent and important stuff in your world so that you can have time for some other things, okay? So it's this urgent and important. What is forever becoming urgent and important because it does need to be planned, but you're just kind of going around the same thing, like every single time you forget your music, every single time you get to go up and do a gig, you've not warmed up, so it takes you 3 songs to really kind of find your voice, and by that point most people have actually started to go to the toilet, you know, or just disconnect from you. So let's go over here to the important, not urgent, okay? Important things but not urgent, okay? Warming up, working on your voice, working on your skills, planning your best year yet in 2019 so that you actually do have time to actually pursue your singing or your speaking, etc., or more things to do with singing, joining a choir or a group or starting one, etc., writing music. That might be important to you, but I can guarantee you on a daily basis with the things that are flying out at you, it's not urgent, is it? You know, sitting on here, to be honest, is not urgent. It might be important. You might think, you're so important to me, I'm going to listen to you. I would suspect not, but you see, it's not necessarily urgent, is it? Okay, so I'm coming back to that in a minute. That is the place that seems that actually ends up most empty in our lives, And that's where we're always forever promising in New Year's resolutions that we're going to do more of this, or we promise ourselves that this year is for the year that we do that, or that we change this. That's the place that actually has to live in and happen. But that's the one that remains most empty, because everything gets left to urgent and important because we're not dealing with it. Okay, so if I come down here, urgent, if I put that there, it's hard to work backwards. So urgent, not important. Okay, what is urgent but not important? Do you have to answer every, and this is one for me, I think I'm just talking to myself here in case anybody else will listen. This is one for me here. Oh, get that right. Okay, what is urgent and not important? Every time my Facebook pings with a message that somebody has responded to a comment to something on some group somewhere, and this is mine of course, do I actually have to respond to it in the moment? It's pinging in my phone like it's urgent. I'm coming in right now. Is it important to your life, your dreams, your world? Is somebody else's comment important? No. Okay, no, it's not. What else can be urgent to us but not important? Somebody else's agenda for you, okay? Somebody else wants it done now, today, this way. Might be urgent to them, but it's not necessarily important to you. You have to work out what is actually important to you, which is where we're living up at this end of the scale, okay? So we end up answering, oh, if I can do it with the light, there we go. We end up living in those two quadrants of life, okay? Urgent and important. And the things that are urgent and not important are kind of taking up space. We're answering everybody else's stuff. We're living our life around watching what everybody else is doing. Or we're leaving things until it becomes so bad or so desperate or so frustrating that suddenly it becomes urgent. That can be a vocal nodule. Nobody works on their voice until they suddenly see that they've popped it. Or they're suddenly sore throat and they can't sing the next day, or they've got a cold and they've got a concert, or anything that you can possibly think of there. Okay. Or where I get it with some others, like they failed the audition and they want to know how they can suddenly get in because they missed it this year round. So here's another place we all live on. Not urgent, not important. Okay. What is not urgent and not important? It could be this. You might have to kind of go, really want to watch you, Angela, but I'm driving and I have to watch it later. Absolutely, that becomes important, but not urgent right now. Okay, that becomes the good place to be. But what's urgent, not important? My favourite at the minute, I'm a celeb, get me out of here. Netflix, Facebook, social media, scrolling down something, getting up in the morning and answering you, and looking at your Facebook before you've even had a wee, you know, all of these things. Of course, I don't do any of those things at all. And like that is where we're living. Like we're living in these three quadrants and we wonder why we're not fulfilled. Number one, if you're not fulfilled in every area of your life, hello, me too, but if you're not fulfilled, it's a wake-up call to all of us that we are not making space for what is actually important to bring out in our lives, but it's not crying out for urgency right now. One of the biggest problems that I have when I speak to people about vocal tuition, about maybe working on a bigger program or coming into the singing academy is, I am not joking, I get so much of this stuff from people, okay? And it's not a criticism, it's like we're innocently living in these things. We're going, oh, I don't know whether I should spend any money on that. I'll just watch another free YouTube video. I won't truly work out what I need to have to make this thing work in my life. I'll just do another free thing, you know? Or I just won't bother at all. Or I won't go and book that gig for myself. I won't go out there. I won't do any of that kind of stuff. I won't do what's important to me. I don't care what it is. It might be singing related. It might be, you know, you haven't had a holiday for 5 years. It might be that you need to pay debt down. There might be a million things, right? I don't know. But whatever it is, it might be that you actually need to play you know, you want to do a little bit more, you've been playing around for a while, or you haven't had you've never done a concert publicly and you're terrified and you need to go join a choir or a group or do something first in order to get your courage up. Or it might be that you absolutely are ready for a much bigger level in your life, but you're just holding back and holding back until you've got all your ducks lined up, until you think that it's all ready to go forward. And you're looking at everything else. You're looking at the money, you're looking at your time. Well, no wonder you're looking at those things, because we're living here. We're living here. And the way to actually change this around to magic time for yourself, for the really important things in your life, are to suddenly add all quadrants in. Now, how do you do that? You have to redefine things for yourself. You have to redefine what is priority, what's top priority, what's not priority. Sometimes you might have to say no to a few people. You might even have to say no to yourself and your own impulses to just go and watch another episode of Game of Thrones and go write that song because the urge is taking you, but so is the urge to watch Game of Thrones. It don't matter what it is. There's something there for all of us. So how do you deal with that, right? Start to kind of get a piece of paper like this. And this weekend, tonight, put 4 quadrants in there. I dare you, and then come and put a comment back on here and tell me what you discovered. Okay, write me, angela@angeladurrant.com. Write me, tell me what you discovered. I'm like seriously interested to know how this shows up for you. So what have you decided that's kind of like keeps being, how many things are on the urgent important? I mean, my list went right down, okay? And then I looked at what was urgent, not important. And first of all, I couldn't think of anything. And then I started to realise, like, well, you know, what's urgent but not important? You know, how many other things that are not hitting my top priorities are getting in the way? That's where you want to shave off. The more you shave off stuff here, the more you'll be able to actually put them in here. And this is the stuff that needs planning, folks, right? This is the stuff that says, right, for the next 12 months, I'm actually going to have a lesson a month, or I'm going to join the academy and I'm going to come on a weekly call and I'm going to do, 3 times a week, I'm going to do 20 minutes practice. I'm going to look at how I can integrate this into my world where it doesn't actually impact. It doesn't overly impact. All it does is it shaves off the stuff that you think is the reason why you haven't got any time or money. Okay, what's urgent but not important? The daily Starbucks on the way to work. What's urgent but not important? Buying the extra Udemy course, buying the extra stuff that you don't actually need right now, buying a bit of extra gear that you don't really need because you actually need to up your skill set somewhere else. You might need, I don't know, guitar lessons and you're not doing them, but you're just winging it. I don't know. I'm just coming up with ideas. Like, come up with your own. Write me what your ideas are. What is not urgent but not important that you are just, what's the time suckers? What is the time suckers? Because these 2 areas are what's living under the surface. These are our habitual habits, actually. If you look at that is the surface. That's on the surface. That's what we're doing every single day. We're either working intentionally towards the things that really are top priority, that make our life fulfilled, that juice, hello Rachel, that make our life fulfilled and juicy. We're either working to actually put that important stuff in place and plan for it. Like if anybody saves for a holiday, or they've saved for a holiday for a whole year or something, it's important to them. It's not urgent, the holiday isn't yet, but you're saving up for something. You're investing in something now, because you want it in the future. So here is the bit that lies right in. What are you prepared to invest in now? Hello. What are you prepared to invest in now that is not seemingly urgent and delivering these urgent sort of goosebump feelings that are happening now? Practice is here. Singing practice, public speaking, anything that is a sort of communication, or that's a joy, or that's important to us, or an expression or a creativity. It lives here. And here's the reason why we're not doing it. We're not doing it because we want short-term gratification. Yeah, hello, me too, most of the time. But we want short-term gratification, and we're getting it in 3 quadrants. we're ending up with short-term gratification because we have to take all this emotional energy for all the dramas and the urgent, important dramas that we're leaving to last minute in our life. The bills unpaid, the phone calls not made. And if I'm not talking to you, I'll talk to myself. The urgent, the important, the things that we did not plan for that are suddenly becoming right in front of us. Okay, that's what's going on here. And then under here, this is the surface habitual stuff that we go to as a default because we're absolutely blooming exhausted with living in the urgent and the important. We're so exhausted living here that we're defaulting for some time out, for some mental time out down here. And the things that we're really, really, really craving live here. So let's give you an example that's not music related that might be able to help you. Let's say your body, you're tired at the end of the day. You've been eating junk food, you've been snacking at work, you haven't had a proper meal, you were too late getting up, you wanted that extra snooze on the button, you didn't make any sandwiches, suddenly you had to go and spend a load of money and you bought, the only thing local, you didn't have that much cash on you, so you bought a McDonald's and now you had a load of chocolate and now you've crashed down here. So because you've crashed, you're actually wanting a bit more of a pick-me-up. So you start watching Facebook and you start having a coffee at Starbucks on the train on the way home. And now we're feeling we've got a little bit of a high for a moment and that we just feel that that's kind of it's giving us that boost. It's giving us that mental kind of bandwidth, and then we're just crashing. And then we get home and then we go on and then we have all that negative self-talk because what we're really, really craving, the body's going, I'm tired, I'm overloaded. And what you're really not giving me is you're too tired now to come home and to get that piano book out that you so wanted to learn how to play jazz and blues, or you were really inspired by the songwriter that you saw and the person at the open mic, and you were so inspired and you were just kind of like, there was so much inside of you, it was calling you to actually kind of do the same thing, but we're getting stuck here. We're getting stuck here. And you know what? It's you and me both. Number one, I'm not giving you anything. I'm not stuck in myself most of the time. But I see it. When I do see it, and when I realise that the most important thing is to really, really look at what is calling to me. What is the desire that's really calling to me, first of all? But I can't just sitting in the desire. First of all, I've got to kind of see what it is. See what's important, brainstorm what's truly important what's been on the New Year's resolution list for the past 10 years. Because it's still important. They used to say, the peel get off the pot, isn't it? If it's important, it's important, but we're somehow not really committing and making space for it. We're ended up in urgent and important all the time. And then we're dipping and diving into urgent, not important, and not important, not urgent as a bandwidth kind of thing at the end of it. So Magicking Time is about changing this dynamic. Okay, I'm watching on my mobile phone, can't see the writing in the boxes. Would you mind recapping what they are? Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, okay, if I put it on there, because I've got funny light going on because I'm trying to do it. Okay. In one box, you basically take a piece of paper and put 4 quadrants. And if you're interested in the book it comes from a book called First Things First by Stephen Covey, who's the writer of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he was talking about how the old models of the way we do time management and manage our lives is completely bonkers, basically, and doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work for bringing out the most important things in life that we are trying to create, promising ourselves that we'll do, that don't end up happening. It's because we end up living in the first box, which says urgent / important, and then the second box across the top says urgent important / not urgent. So it's urgent / important, important / not urgent. Then underneath it's got urgent / not important, and then it's got not urgent, not important, and we're living down here, or in the urgent important, where Stephen Covey says that what we actually need to be doing is suddenly finding out what's actually important to us and then planning it in. And it might take planning, because to magic time doesn't mean that suddenly it's all going to happen tomorrow. That's what ends us in the urgent important again. It ends in the urgent important because we actually didn't plan for it. In other words, I don't have enough money for the holiday because I never put enough money away over a 10-month period in order to pay for it. So I'm having to either take a holiday I don't want at a cheaper price, or I'm having to not take a holiday. So urgent, not important is, okay, it might be that somebody's saying to her, you know, urgent, not important. Every advertisement you ever see, it's urgent. It's not important to you. It's urgent. Buy my stuff, have another latte, have a gingerbread latte on the way to work. It's across all the buses, whatever it is. Urgent, not important. It costs the academy, all those beautiful mims in the academy, it costs less than a Starbucks a day to be part of the academy. And some of you are saying you can't afford to do what you want to do, and actually you're having a Starbucks every day. And you don't realise the habitual nature of how this works for us. We're looking for extra all the time. And really, we need to define what we've got going on right now. Okay. So it's something I'm going to do, something we're doing this month in the academy, which is we're going to redefine what's important and put the goals in place ready for next year, so that we actually look at the places. We just do a review of this year and look at, where did we get caught up in this, that it was just innocent, we didn't see it. Hi Sue! We didn't see that we were getting caught up in all of this, and really put in a very simple plan for just one or two important priorities in your life for next year. Will make the difference. So I'll give you a real personal example of this just to finish, okay? A personal example of this is on my to-do list. It's got nothing to do with singing. So it's all the same thing to me. On my to-do list was probably about 10 years, since my daughter is 12 today, so for at least 10 years, I couldn't stop, I couldn't continue to say forever and ever, I've just given birth, because she's 12. So being 3 or 4 stone overweight from where I gave birth to her, you know, it's not going to wash, is it? So anyway, I saw my weight was creeping up. I changed my job, I changed what I was doing in life, etc. And we'd had some periods of high stress in my life, and let's culminate it at the beginning of this year, February 2018. I found out I was type 2 diabetic. Real shock to me, because we keep thinking that we can keep doing the urgent important and the urgent not important and the not important not urgent, and we don't have to look at this stuff in our life, you know, but it's on the to-do list. Keep saying I want to lose weight, keep saying I want to do something. So I sat in the doctor's and I got very, very quiet, and I got probably more intentional than I'd ever got in my life when I kept putting it on the to-do list. And the intentionality around it went like this: okay, I need to be able to sort this out. So the first thing that I did was I made it a priority in my life. I was offered a diabetes course. Now at the time, I wouldn't have thought I could fit it in. My husband was saying, where are you going to fit 2.5 hours every Wednesday? So I just shifted things around to fit 2.5 hours in, and I went to the diabetes course. And I went for 6 weeks. And in that 6 weeks, it was life-changing for me because I made priority to go and relearn something that clearly I didn't know, otherwise I wouldn't have been in the state I was in. When I sat there and I realised what I should be looking at, that I should be looking at carbs or the amount of carbs I should be having, suddenly I went home and I put a very, very simple plan that hardly took any extra time out of my day. In fact, it didn't take any extra time out of my day, other than I got up in the morning, and it was the right thing came for me to put the right plan in place. Was I got on the scales in the morning just to see where it was, not to sort of condemn myself, but just to see. And then I kept to the guidelines that I knew that they'd said I needed to keep to. So within that, I had total freedom. I could, oh, excuse me, I'm hiccuping. I had total freedom. I could eat different things. I could make different choices. I had choice. It wasn't strict, but I had guidelines, and there were things. And because it was so important to me to look towards reversing this in my life, and I had put it off and put it off, thinking that one day somehow magically I'd find the time or the motivation or the right diet in order to deal with it. It just got into all of those other quadrants rather than the important. It was important but not urgent. My health had probably been important and not urgent to me for years. But other people can tell us this stuff, and we just don't see it until we wake up and see it. Okay, so long shot. I'm not totally out the woods yet, I don't think, but I pretty effortlessly, added in some exercise. I didn't do half the things I thought I needed to do to make this big change, which is why I wasn't doing anything, because I thought I didn't have the time, I didn't have the bandwidth, etc. And I'm nearly 3 stone down. And it's taken me probably 7 months. And it goes up a little bit and down a little bit. And I'm able, because I've got a system now, I've got a priority. It's quite easy to suddenly come back to these 4 quadrants. And actually, you can see it because I've got a funny light on it. There we go. It's easy to come, there we go. Easy to come back to the 4 quadrants, because now my health is in its proper place. So things that were urgent, not important, which is to reach for a bag of crisps, or to eat late at night, or to not stick within my things, that's gone. So I'm not dealing with the urgent, important thing. It's like, now you have to have medication. Because I've made it more important, I'm now able to see the fruit of making time, of changing that, of magicking time very, very simply, and to see change that's happened on the side of everything else without having to deal with any of the extra thinking that I thought was necessary to add this health, looking after myself in my own life. So just to put that into context, because you're on my page and I do voice and all that kind of stuff, where is it in your voice? Where is it in the things that you're wanting to do with your singing, with your talking, with your communication? I mean, do you want to get out there and public speak? Do you want to go and, or is it that you want to make singing a bigger part of your life, but you keep calling on the cards of time, magicking time. Like, I haven't got the time to go and do this. I haven't got the time to do that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm really passionate about getting the academy out there, because the resources are there to do it. You can pick them up, you can drop them down, you can do them at midnight, you can do them at 5 in the morning. You don't have to be in a certain place to do it. The resources are there and the help is there. But we'll go, oh, I've got to get all this stuff out the way first before I go do the thing that's important to me. Well, you've got 2 choices really. You've either got to really look at it truthfully and go, actually, is it important to me? And you know what? If it's not important, you are better off knowing now that it's not an important thing. Like, it might have been a dream years ago, but really when you think about it, it's just not important to you anymore. Drop it. Get on with something else that is. But if it is still important to you, a creative expression of voice in some form or other, if it is important to you, then you owe it to yourself to look at how to magic time, which is quantum physics. And it's just understanding how to see it differently. Those 24 hours, based on our desires, based on what's actually important, based on some action and some planning that is really doable, and not just waiting for this big open space that we think is going to happen, where we get this clarity and suddenly the fields roll open and we're able to do all this stuff. The reason why that doesn't happen, because what you're actually looking for is mental bandwidth, not physical time. And the only reason why we're looking for mental bandwidth, not physical time, is because we're stuck on urgent, important, or urgent, not important, or not urgent, not important. And when we're stuck in those 3 quadrants, which are everything dictating to you what you should be doing in your day, in your life, how you should be thinking, how you should be feeling, that's all coming to you from everybody else. When you're stuck in that, you can't sit quietly, listen to the voice on the inside of you that's going, this is what we really crave to do. I want to get my music out there. I want to record an album. I don't care if it's never going to be a hit record. I just want to actually put this down as a record that I did this. I want to write that music. I loved watching that person up on stage, but I know I haven't yet got the confidence. How am I going to get my way there? I'd love to join the worship team or the choir or that band. I'd love to start a band. I'd love to write some music, or I'd love to really become a voice teacher, or I'd love to understand more about the voice. But. So what actually is really calling to you is just the first stage. we can leave it. And if we stay on just what I call the vision and the desire of it, you will stay in that place forever, for 10 years, like I did with my health, until something becomes more urgent, more important, and then it becomes a priority in life to deal with. That's what happened. If I'd have made my health urgent, important, but it wasn't urgent, if I'd have seen the importance of it in the last 10 years, I wouldn't have dealt with the urgent important that hit me this year. And that's how we're living. And when it comes to our creativity, when it comes to what makes life juicy and sweet, and the power of music and the power of things that you really want to be engaged in, we're thinking that our excuses of not enough time, not enough energy, not enough money are real. The money one is only real to a point. It's not real if you start to look at where you can move money around and how you can start intentionally and how you can reach out and what you can do with what you've got where you are. None of it is real. It's made up because we're living with another agenda. We're living with other people's agendas, other people's past conditioning, other people's values, other people's urgency, and we're ignoring our own cry of the soul as to what we need to be about in our own life that's calling to us. And if it's music, if it's singing, if it's speaking, if it's anything to do with voice and communication and music, drop me a line, okay? Let's just have a chat, and to see what plan you need to put in place to actually really make 2019 a year that actually counts towards the important things that are calling to you, that will actually that they were the things that will juice you with everyday happiness, because you're actually following who you are and what is really, the things that you actually should be making time for, because they're that little knock, that little quiet knock on the inside that going, you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me, you're not making time for me, you're not making time for me. So that's all I've got to say today. So thank you for everybody that is joined in on the line, and joined. Do leave me comments or like or share this with people that you think, oh my god, you should, you'll have friends that you think, yeah, you should be doing more singing, you should be doing this, and they don't know how to prioritize this, because we just keep getting caught in the trap all the time of the urgent important, because that's what it ends up as, the non-urgent, not important, okay? Because now I've got no bandwidth left from the urgent important, that all I need is just downtime and Netflix and just to not think at all. Or the urgent but not important, which is generally where the things that other people want for you are living, okay? When you just take a little bit of a kind of zoom out and look at them, and then you come back and you go, what do I want? What's one or two seriously important things for me to do in my singing, with my music? What's the seriously important things that I'm really, that would just make a difference to me, just to make some level of place for that in my life, or a real level of place for it in my life, or an exponential growth of it in my life, or professional in my life where I haven't been. Whatever that looks like for you, PM me. You can actually email me at angela@durrant.com. You can actually go to the new website, which is www.makingsingingeasy.com. I'll put a link in there afterwards, makingsingingeasy.com. Go download. Don't start for free with the free mini course and voice assessments. Start there. Start with something that actually says, this is important to me and I'm going to take an immediate action. So let me know what your immediate action is that you're going to take, whether it's writing this quadrant out and sitting there quietly tonight and putting the important things in. And if you want help making that plan, then I'm going to open some spots for you to actually connect with me. And I am really good at helping people put that plan, whether it's something that I'm doing or whether you may not need anything from me, but I'm going to help you put that plan together coming into 2019, where you can redress the balance, magic time, and actually start to do the important things that you want in your life. So thank you everybody for joining me, and I look forward to doing another live shortly.